Hello, this is Black Woman 7 here, and today we'll be going over our Amino Draft Tour uh, round 5 or semifinals or top 4, however you want to call it, as we are up against Badsem. And not gonna lie, this battle is going to be very, very difficult given the matchup we have. So let's dive into the matchup, or the battle itself. So there's some Pokemon that like stood out that are like really definite standouts. Mamoswine, Celebi, Hitmontop, Samurott, Heatran, Toxicroak. It also has Audino, Oricorio, and Aerodactyl. So now I'll just go over each one. So I'm not gonna lie, like Mamoswine's by far the biggest threat in my entire team, and I think Badsem probably realizes this. He's probably going to use this guy as a wall breaker slash cleaner slash whatever offensively versus me. So I honestly expect Mamoswine to be brought this game. I do expect in that regard Celebi in some to be brought as well as sort of a defensive check to my entire team, as I really don't have good answer for Celebi, aside maybe Entei, Zapdos, but to be honest, Celebi just does whatever it wants. I don't think he could run stabs with aside maybe like Psychic and Seeds. But then again, like Celebi has some weird coverage versus me that could be very effective. So yeah. He could be very defensive, or he could be built like offensive, or with even Baton Pass in mind. So yeah. The only thing I don't like is that, like, the fact that Celebi exists means that I have to kind of play around it. I have to force to acknowledge and play around it, so you'll see what I mean when you might be, like, confused with what I said, but, like, you'll see what I mean, so yeah. Then you have Hitmontop, which he also has a dual fighting core, which with Hitmontop and Toxicroak, though Hitmontop is mainly a defensive fighting type, more often seen to, like, remove hazards, so yeah. I honestly don't see Hitmontop being brought because I have like plenty of checks to it. I think Toxicroak is more likely to be brought than Hitmontop in general, but I don't know. Like, if he does bring Hitmontop, then it's probably going to be a Rapid Spin variant, so yeah. So he could bring Bulk Up with Earthquake, like Bullet Punch, Mach Punch, Technician ability, so. But I doubt it. It'll probably be some defensive set since he is weak to rocks in a way with Aero, so yeah. Samurott, like, I do think that Samurott could make an appearance either as a mixed attacker, or like a Z move, or even like some kind of Sword Stance user. So it does get access to Sacred Sword and Mega Horn, so it doesn't have to rely on superpower. So yeah, that could be very problematic. Because it could hit my entire team for damage, and you can make this thing fairly bulky in itself, since it does have 95 HP, so special defense isn't left to be desired, but it could be bulked out, so yeah, with that HP stat, so yeah. I do think Samurott's a threat in this game, so if he does bring it, then I will consider it. I'll definitely have some answers and responses for it. Heatran's a Pokemon I definitely see like 100% aside Mamoswine, because without this thing, Magearna has fun versus his team aside Mamoswine, so like even from like an offensive perspective, like he needs like another Pokemon that could be able to check her Magearna both offensively and defensively, and Heatran's like probably the best one. With access to Lava Plume, fire type moves like Lava Plume to burn it, Flamethrower, Roar. So you could also even I don't think he has like access to Fire MZ. I believe he has access to Gracium and Icium Z, I believe. So Celebi and Mamoswine will likely be Z move mons, and as well as some other obscure or notable ones like Ice Punch or Z Ice Punch Toxicroak and Z Ice Beam Samurott. So yeah. But going back to Heatran, I do believe that he has to bring some sort of a Spadef set, or something that's at least offensive enough to check Magearna while having some bulk to take a hit or two. So, like say like a Hidden Power Ground or Earth Sphere. So, I do feel like if I could chip down Heatran, then Magearna can actually do its thing. So yeah. Then we have Toxicroak, which I honestly don't know what he's gonna bring. He could be, if he does bring Toxicroak, it could be some kind of setup variant, whether it be Sword Stance, Acid Pop, Bulk Up, Work Up, whatever. I feel like Sword Stance was like the most likely, given the fact that it just gives him immediate +2, gives him the option of a Z option for Z Ice Punch to break my team. So yeah. And of course, his coverage between Ice Punch, Earthquake, Sucker Punch, Drain Punch could be very interesting. So he can't run them all together. It's like he could run it to an effective way. So yeah. So I do feel like Toxicroak is a likely 6th Mon. So yeah. In terms of other Pokemon, I do think Aerodinal could make an appearance here, but honestly, I'm not so sure because it kind of does nothing. It just sits there, just setting up wishes, but then again, I have a Pokemon that does the same thing, so yeah. It's just that Audino has Regenerator, so that's it, so. It does have access to Encore and some other set of other interesting options like Calm Mind, Encore, Yawn, Thunder Wave, Snatch. So I gotta watch out for any potential setup on Audino as well, so yeah. Or like a Paralysis Spreader, so yeah. Then we have Oricorio. Like I said, he does have access to all forms of Oricorio, not just the Pom-Pom or the electric version. So pretty much this has the same typing as Zapdos, but what I could see is potentially a Baton Pass set to, like, let's say Celebi or Heatran, or like you pass Agility plus Calm Mind, and that could just be very problematic. So that's something I have to keep in mind. And then or you could just run this by itself. So yeah. The only other thing I'll say is that Oricorio, I'm not so sure what he can do versus my team. Well, I haven't planned, so, but yeah. I do feel like he's gonna leave it in the bench for this time around, so yeah. Then we have Aero, which I think he's likely bring an offensive variant with Quake Edge coverage, which I think makes the most sense with Hone Edge, or Hone Claws, Stone Edge, Earthquake, and Roost. So with Hone Claws, he could just boost up his accuracy with Stone Edge and also his attack power for Earthquake and Stone Edge. So yeah. So none of these attacks get boosted. So yeah. Maybe he does try something like Ice Fang as well, but then again, I don't know. So that's pretty much the matchup right now. If I had to say what his team would be, I would say it's like all these 6 except for Hitmontop, and then have Aerodactyl replace Hitmontop. So yeah. So Aerodactyl, Mamo, Celebi, Samurott, Heatran, and Toxicroak. Going over our team, we have Substitute Latias, which, like, the thing is, when I mentioned that Celebi existing kind of makes things really complicated, this is what I mean, because in this game I would love to run Combine, but I realized that Celebi is just there, and I can't run, like, let's say Dabs, like let's say like Psyshock and like basically a psychic move plus a dragon move. So, and I feel like running a Combine would have been nicer, but then the next best option was probably Substitute. So, because one, if I do get a sub off, that means potentially I'm free from taking any chip damage from Celebi, and if I could somehow loco Celebi while in the sub, he's forced to switch into another Pokemon to try to break it out the sub as well. So, this Latias set is pretty much just to pick off his team. It's pretty much a cleaner set. It's basically a sub attacker. I do wish that it was a lot stronger, but unfortunately, not so much. So it does have enough speed to outpace the Celebi. Since I don't want to be um taken off guard by like offensive Celebi. So yeah, like with timid. So yeah. Surf actually hits Heatran, Mamoswine, and Aerodactyl, so that's why I have it over Psychic. Yeah, I do miss out on Psychic coverage for, you know, Hitmontop and Toxicroak, but I feel like the fact that I have a Latias as a Mega with Psychic typing, maybe I could get away with it, so... so yeah, basically it's gonna be my sub-attacker slash cleaner, so yeah. Then we have Magearna, which is our dual dance, win con, because I feel strongly that if Magearna is able to get like a boost up, then pretty much we can like with both either Shift Gear or Combine. I think we're in a very good position, especially if Heatran's very weakened. So yeah, Dazzling Gleam is there mostly as an option, and Dazzling Gleam and Aura Sphere there just to it is most of its team for neutral, so they're like my best coverage in general. So yeah, I think the only thing that takes it very well is like maybe Samurai, but then again, Samurai take doesn't want to be in front of a Magearna at all. So yeah, I do have to be careful about Celebi and Odinil having potentially the Thunder Wave, because then that would just paralyze my Magearna, and then the Shift Gear strategy just goes to ruin. So yeah. So the plan was to basically set up a Shift Gear and then have Magearna outpace Mega Aero. And once I kill Mega Aero with some prior chip damage from other my other mons and with Magearna plus 1 CM, I pretty much attempt to sweep. So yeah. So basically this is mons for late game. So yeah. Then we have Gloop, our Licky Licky with Oblivious Natures to prevent us from getting taunted. I do have Body Slam because this helps like Licky Licky spread paralysis to certain Pokemon, like say Mega Aero. Celebi, though Celebi has Natural Cure, Mamoswine, I believe. Oh, not Arcor Electric. I was gonna say Arcor Electric for some reason. Toxicroak, Samurai, Heatran, like most of his team in general. So my main targets are going to be the Aerodactyl, Mamoswine, and Heatran, so basically speaking, try to paralyze those mons. I am also a standard Witch Cleric set, which with 100 base HP max, and max defense, I'm able to take like hits from Mamoswine, from Adamant Mamoswine's Life Orb. If he's not Life Orb or Choice Band, then this helps me even better. So yeah, so I'm able to wall most non-life orb / choice band variants, so yeah. I do have Heal Bell over something like Dragon Tail because of the fact that I need like Dragon Tail just to be able to or not Heal Dragon Tail, but Heal Bell just to be able to recover status from paralysis potentially. So yeah. From like say a paralysis from Magearna if he has like Thunderwave Celebi or whatever, or maybe a burn. So from Trance or Toxic in general. So yeah. I don't no like I'm not really expecting much from Gloop. I just want this guy just to spread as much paralysis as possible. Hoping, well yeah, maybe I am expecting something out of it because I'm bringing it. So, but it's not the main attraction of the team. So yeah. So then we have Zapdos with Charty Berry with Heat Wave, Discharge, Toxic Roost. This helps out with Licky Licky installing out some Pokemon. With the combination of Heat Wave, Discharge, and Toxic, I should be able to hit most of his team, as well as like potentially spread Toxic status. So yeah, I do have the Charty Berry just to be able to ensure that like I take a hit from like Stone Edge or Rock Slide from Zapdos, so yeah, or Aerodactyl, so yeah. Alright, so then we have our Entei, which pretty much is one of our win cons, though I think that Entei could be our main wall breaker here. I do have Flare Blitz, Stomping Tantrum, Howl, and Substitute. Now, Stomping Tantrum is there just to hit stuff like Heatran, Toxicroak, as well as Flare Blitz to hit like most of his team. Celebi just OHKOs it. I was pretty worried about a calm mindset from Celebi, so yeah, or even like a calm mindset from like Oricorio. So um, I do have some defense EVs just to take a hit, like maybe like well not a hit, but like oh yeah, something from like a Toxicroak or something like that. So yeah, of course I can't deliver a hit from Mamoswine, but with this speed investment, I should be able to outspeed Mamoswine and potentially do a KO it. Of course, I'm not Entei can't OHKO Mamoswine because of it having thick fat, but I'm hoping that with Life Orb, Recoil, and Rock switch-ins, I'm able to OHKO it very soon. So yeah, I think around like 40%. Like once it's around 40%, then yeah, I could just OHKO it with Flare Blitz. So yeah, since I am Mad of Nature, so I really wanted to run Sacred Fire. Not gonna lie. The only reason why I didn't opt for it was because one, accuracy, because this is a high stake match, and I didn't feel like that it would be very nice to have miss Sacred Fire, and not gonna lie, I have a tendency of missing that move a lot. So yeah, and the other was the fact that Aerodactyl, like stuff like Aerodactyl, Audino just walls Entei, and I can't hit it for damage, or I can't hit it for crap. So yeah, I do have Howl plus sub because if I'm able to set up like a sub, but then I'm able to like get like maybe a Howl boost or just get some damage going. So yeah, I do have a Papa Berry just to get some recovery. Since I am using Flare Blitz just to reduce my HP value, I might as well just have an item just recovers me up back immediately. So yeah, similar to like VGC Arcanine or Incineroar in VGC 18. So yeah. The only thing I'll say is that yes, Entei set's very limited, but I feel like it pretty much like if I'm able to get rid of the Aerodactyl, this thing kind of pressures his entire team. So yeah. Lastly we have Stealth Rocks, Earthquake, Scald, Roar, Empoleon, just because I want to have something that's a phaser, and I didn't want something that's like I guess you could say this one's very utility based, similar to like Zapdos and Boop or Licky Licky, but like since it was either between Empoleon and Mudsdale, and Empoleon just made slightly better sense just because I needed rocks. Mudsdale just impounds my weakness towards Celebi and Aerodactyl and potentially the Mamoswine. So yeah. With this, if he doesn't have superpower, this Shuckleberry Empoleon should be like a lure, so that way I'm able to like hit Mamoswine or OHKO with like Scald. So yeah, I don't think I OHKO, but like maybe do like a good chunk to it. So yeah, Earthquake is just there just to hit the I believe the Toxicroak and Heatran harder. So I do have Assassination and Roar just to phase out any Baton Pass shenanigans. So yeah, I think that's the team. Hoping that we're able to go through this match and potentially win. Since if we win this battle against Badsem, then we do make it to finals. So yeah. Alright, so I'm hoping that we win but I don't know. So because I honestly think Badsem, given his track record, I do think he has a good advantage in terms of matchup versus me, and he's probably going to prepare a lot for the Mega. So yeah. Either way, I'm just hoping that we're able to make it to finals. So yeah. All right, I think I'll get right into the battle. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, so this battle, like, we're into the battle, and right off the bat, there are some interesting notes. He brings like four of the six Pokemon I anticipate him bringing. Mamoswine, pretty obvious. Heatran, and Aero. Like Aerodactyl, does outspeed my entire team after all. So, and also the Toxicroak. So, what I am curious about is him bringing the Hitmontop and the Oricorio, and foregoing potentially Samurott and Celebi or Audino. That just kind of shook me in a way. Him not bringing Celebi or Samurott, but well, maybe the Samurott, like, okay, I'm like, all right, maybe he might have like opted out about that for several reasons, but opting out Celebi was just like, whoa, that was very questionable, and I kind of like prepped in the mindset of the him bringing Celebi, but um, the fact that he brings this Oricorio just puts the ball on me in my favor, or not in my favor, but like in the, I guess you could say, like, I'm trying to say is like it puts the ball on my court in the sense that, well, he has something that's very threatening that could set up and could also baton pass to something else. And the only other special attacker I'm seeing is Heatran, and there's also Toxicroak. So already I'm like, okay, this could be some kind of weird baton pass set. So, and I'm already like thinking to myself, okay, or maybe instead of leading Latias as I intended to, perhaps I just lead Empoleon. So I felt like leading Empoleon was probably like my better option because even if he leads, let's say, Mamoswine, I still have Sugar Berry. Of course, you could always go for like Life Orb, a potential Life Orb, Superpower, or whatever boost that could just knock me out. Or I could always go into like Loop in a way, like if I'm fearful of that. So, but I don't think he's gonna bring lead Mamoswine because that thing is just too much of an offensive threat to me to warrant using just you know, the a Sash lead. So, or even Aerodactyl leading just off of the bat because it also outspeeds my whole team. He'll probably use that as a cleaner. I thought he would either lead with Oricorio or Heatran. That's what I was expecting. So yes, I know I'm leading Empoleon against a potential electric Mon, but I felt that if I could potentially circumvent this Oricorio setup, then it could help me out in my favor. So yeah. So I just lead with Empoleon, and already this is really bad. Probably the worst. The only other like lead that I didn't want him to bring her goal turn one is Toxicroak, and I'm like, great. I'm pretty much forced to consider either Rory or switching out in general, and I honestly felt that he would just go for like maybe a physical attack or just like maybe some kind of setup with Sword Stance or whatever like setup option he has turn one, because of course, like, Empoleon can't really do much against a Toxicroak. Yes, I do have Earthquake, but I'm just giving him this guy turns. So um I have it switch out, go roar, or just be ballsy and just go for rocks here. But I do want to have this Empoleon with the Shuka Berry intact in case Mamoswine doesn't have superpowers. So I don't want to risk Mars' HP at all. So I feel like it was important for me just to switch out, go to Doge Diente, as he goes for bulk up. So, and now I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And at this point, I'm realizing, well, this Toxicroak is going to be a problem. So, so I'm debating what I could do, and I probably could have just went for the Stomping Tantrum here, because in bulk up also implies that he's Brain Punch. So yeah, and he definitely has an ice move for me. So, and then the last coverage move, whether it's like Sucker Punch or a Sub, or I forgot. He could have Earthquake. So yeah, but then again, like, this Toxicroak has a defense raise, so it probably implies that he has HP investment as well. So I could have honestly swapped into like Latias or even like Zapdos just to like take a hit here, but I felt like, you know what, I make a very rash play, and this is pretty much my first mistake here. As I decide, you know what, this thing's gonna drop the Flare Blitz, but then I realized, oh wait, my opponent could decide to not run Drag Skin, and that in of itself just kind of bites me. But as you see, my opponent also gets a crit, so apparently that crit matters. because I checked my defense investment, and well, you'll see what I'll talk about after the battle. But apparently if you just it was just max with Jolly, then that actually mattered because I actually could live the Drain Punch. Um, Technically speaking, I would lose. Like in that scenario, like since he was also Life Orb, my goal is to also like at that point my goal would have been to like just weaken this Toxicroak down. So I think in the end game, like it would have been Toxicroak would have been like at least around um like at the very least around 70 something percent or 69 or whatever. And I probably would have gone for another Flare Blitz, put myself at lower HP, and ensure that he just takes more damage from Life Orb. So either that puts him very low in HP, following the second hit, assuming I've lived. So this puts me in a very rough start right now. So not gonna lie, it would have been a double down, and I would have lost my Fire type. But to be honest, him not bringing the Celebi, I would have been like, I would have been okay with that. So but we do have to deal with this Toxicroak now. That's fully nearly that's around like 40, not 40%, but 80% HP. So we have Stormbreaker here, and I'm like, all right, what can we do? Like, there's not really much I can do since I didn't really go to Latias because, of course, I didn't want to. I could have just went for Latias, but here I just went to like Zapdos as sort of a reactionary play, which probably wasn't really the best. If I went hard into Latias, then maybe he just switches out. Maybe he switches out into his Oricorio or Hitmontop, or just sacks the, or just I think at that point he would probably sack the Toxicroak. So yeah. But either way, I go for Heat Wave, and at this point I realize, this thing's not Dry Skin, and I will defend why I went for Heat Wave here. I went for Heat Wave mainly because I didn't want to give Mamoswine a free switch in. Because if Mamoswine switches into Zapdos, then I'm pretty much screwed. Like, I'm pretty much screwed in the sense that he could just do whatever he wants. Yes, I still have a fully healthy Licky, but yeah. Of course, he does have Poison Point, and at that point I realized, well, I just lost two of my best Pokemon, so yeah. I do feel like having Heat Wave would have been fine just to be able to hit Mamoswine, so some way. But of course, sometimes this happens. Getting a toxic poisoned, as well as, or not toxic poison, but like getting the bad RNG right off the bat. So, but you gotta play around it. So here I go for a substitute because I decide, okay, maybe he's finally gonna switch out, but then of course he plays around this, and he reveals Ice Punch. Well, he already revealed Ice Punch. Like, I go for sub thinking that he'd finally switch out to Tran, but of course, maybe preserve this Toxicroak. But then I realize, you know what? Or he realizes, you know what? I'm not gonna play around that. I'm just gonna try to play much more aggressively. So this Toxicroak is able to take at least 25 off me. So yeah, assuming you count the substitute. So yeah. Here I just go for Dragon Pulse because I'm like, alright, I had enough of this. So now there's just a bunch of Pokemon that aren't weak to water, even though are neutral to water. So I do have to worry about this Oricorio because now this thing could potentially set up and Baton Pass to like Heatran. So yeah. Either way, I just have to like play around, try to get Magearna in at the right time, and potentially sweep with it. So because this is looking very grim. Losing Zapdos was kind of huge because it was kind of the glue of the team, as well as Entei. But since Entei earlier on, it was like a huge loss, since it was probably my best answer for like Mamoswine and to a degree Oricorio. So like once there's both of those monsters weakened, so yeah. He goes to Aerodactyl, so I don't know why he doesn't go for Mamoswine, but I guess he probably preserve it for HP purposes. And maybe it implies that maybe he is a Sash variant, but I don't know. Maybe he's trying to keep it for the end game. So here I decided to attack, and I want to see what he has. So I go for Surf, get some chip. Well, I do over 50% or 58 specifically. So here I switch out and go into Glue because I know I could take any hit. So the fact that he revealed Ice Fang and Wing Attack is very, very, very interesting because I'm like, okay, either this thing has Roost and potentially Earthquake, because of course he needs to have Earthquake, otherwise Magearna is just gonna set up on this guy. Or he just like is like an offensive or just mono or offensive attacker, so all-out attacker with 4 attacks, so and no Roost or setup. So the fact that he revealed Ice Fang and Wing Attack implies that he doesn't have any setup, so maybe a Roost. So I do get my leftovers recovery, and he does go into the him on top. I do try to go for paralysis there. I think he knows that he could just preserve Aerodactyl healthy, so though it is very low, I will admit. So we're able to chew up that close combat very nicely. So potentially we could stall it out of its sting. Here I go to Bunny. At this point, I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of gave up on the game. Because I felt that him weakening my Latias already puts me in range of Ice Shard. And at this point, I'm like, okay, my only hope is try to get like Magearna to set up right now. And maybe, just maybe, try to get some sort of like I have to set up a Calm Mind right now or Shift Gear, so but first I just go with I believe the Calm Mind, so yeah. So he goes to Heatran here, and I go for Calm Mind. So I honestly just thought I should have just went for the Shift Gear at first, but then I realized, you know, although without the Spadef boost, I won't be able to live a Flamethrower or like. All right, so at this point in the game, I'm pretty much in a very awkward spot, as I do have a boost with Calm Mind up versus a Heatran, so this thing could actually just roar me out or just go for taunt. And at this point, I'm kind of like between a rock and a hard place. And there's only one win con in mine, and I know a lot of people are not gonna like it, but I pretty much have to get lucky. So, but I also have to get speed first. So, yeah. And he has to also not have certain things on his team, like Dash, Mamoswine, or anything in particular. So, I also have to like kind of hope for that he doesn't Oko Magearna with Heatran. So yeah. Otherwise, losing Magearna means I lose this game. So, here I go for flame. He goes for Flamethrower, and I go for Shift Gear because I have to. If it wasn't for the Calm Mind boost, I probably wouldn't have taken the Flamethrower. So yeah. I probably should have just went for the other way around, like Shift Gear then Calm Mind. So, but either way, so now this is pretty much the biggest turn of the game. As you'll see, I go for Aura Sphere and I do crit, and because of that crit, I do win the game. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Yeah, I do win the game because of the crit. So yeah. As you'll see, like Magearna is at +2. I honestly think he should have just went to Aero, but tried to outspeed it first. As you'll see that everything just drops to Magearna, and even I outspeed Aero. So yeah, with the boost. At this point, I don't think Mamoswine can come back. But then again, I'm not so sure. So, like, I don't think Mamoswine can come back if he was Sash. So, or then again, I don't know if even if it was Sash, then I just go into Polion. Hope that he's not superpower. So, by the way, like I do win off of the crit. So yeah. So basically, because of that, we are now in finals. So because of the crit, so I'll admit this game was very hacksy, and my opponent, despite the hacks he got against me, he definitely prepped better with the Toxicroak and the Oricorio in mind. I did read his article he made about his team, and apparently it was a standard Life Orb Mamo, an offensive all-out attacking Aerodactyl with a lot of HP investment. I think him on top was like defensive as usual. An offensive Tran, which I was very kind of surprised he brought that, but especially with no like healing options, as well as you've probably seen it, Poison Touch bulk up Toxicroak. Apparently, the crit on the Toxicroak did matter against my Entei because I had enough defensive investment to live, to ensure that I live, and maybe go for another Flare Blitz, and potentially put Toxicroak in range of my other attacks. But at that point, the game is very dicey. So like, okay, he has to send in like at that point he probably sends in Mamoswine, and it just comes down. Like I think with him knowing how he plays, I think he probably would have that like if he had not crit my Entei, I think he would have been in a better position. Although I think he was always in a better position throughout the game because I felt like him having Mamoswine in without any other disturbances or issues would have just been very costly because, of course, the only way I can kill Mamoswine is if I get chip on it first. And he is Life Orb, so if I could chip down Mamoswine, then yeah, I could achieve this. So, but that's not the bigger issue here. The issue here was the fact that um, where was the fact that I basically played like crap this whole game. I definitely admit I played too safe in the sense. Um, because I think the Oricorio, just him having the Oricorio just threw me off, and I was like, okay, he's gonna try to set up with something. I was on that mindset of that because normally when it comes to like any form of like setup with people, when they always kind of like every time I've always seen some kind of sort of like baton pass like team, I always assume that I always have something in mind for it because I know that if I let them set up, then I lose the game or just lose 3 or 4 Pokemon, which is still losing. So yeah. Regarding the crit, it was unfortunate that like it did got the crit onto his Heatran. Um, if I was HP ground, I probably would have OHKO'd it, and I think this whole game would have ended like exactly the same way. Um, just no issues at all. So the fact I did get a crit or even Focus Blast, I probably would have just won. So I think at that point he probably would have gone hard into Mamoswine. Just hope that I don't, you know, like hit my let's say like my Focus Blast, but I went for accuracy because I felt strongly that I could be able to chip down his entire team to the point where like Magearna can like win with just a shift gear boost. That's it. And I felt like with Heatran just switching into Latias multiple times, then that was the scenario I thought of, but that didn't work out that well. So like losing, I think the turn one lead was also kind of terrible on my end. Like I definitely overthought it, and of course, I do think that Badsem like definitely outplayed me, but you know how Pokemon is sometimes. I did play with my outs, and I did know that like everything, like the Aerodactyl was weakened enough as even like most of his Pokemon wouldn't be able to take like a +2 Magearna's hit. Though I was very surprised that he didn't go to Aerodactyl to even attempt to take a hit. Oh no, not Aerodactyl. Oh wait, forget about that because I realized that it was 42%. So people typing angry comments just note that I already said that. So but yeah, sometimes Pokemon does that. So and that was pretty much my only win con, and yeah, Magearna just clutched it out again for like I think the third or like the fourth time. So yeah, I do think that I will give Bat some credit. I think he's a really talented battler in general. the fact that he was able to make it this far in the tournament, I honestly think he should have just been the one to be in finals. But you know, um, sometimes Pokemon is Pokemon, so and Magearna probably broken in this type of format, so even I admit that. So, but we used exactly what was given to us, and yeah, we were able to win. So, and I guess that's pretty much what only matters at the end of the day. So, um, but I will say, I don't even know if I want to say like GG or any of that sort. It's just this game was definitely haxy throughout. Like, of course, like Toxicroak, getting those attacks off was very very annoying for me. I probably could have just swapped into Zapdos if after that hit, after that Drain Punch hit, or the secondary Drain Punch hit. But you know what? At this point, we're just kind of Dairy Moning at this point. I don't think Dairy Moning would be good. It's a good thing because then there's like infinite amount of possibilities that could happen in this battle. So yeah, um, like and then not to mention all the other potential crit chances that those things can happen. So yeah, um, so anyways, I'm just gonna end it off here. So good games, or I guess, um, like that's it. If you're watching this, I do apologize that I did one after the script. Yeah, probably did. I probably should have made like sort of a response, but I guess I just waited this for a while just because been busy, so with other stuff going on. So and I finally got the time to record. So yeah. So hopefully next time I am able to beat you in a more reasonable way instead of just hitting you like that. So yeah. Um, but yeah. So we're in finals. So and already I could always tell you that our matchup is gonna be very interesting for finals. So hopefully we get our. This is, I guess, our sixth attempt at a championship in terms of draft league, and yeah, if we do win, then we get our sixth one. So hopefully we do win, or at least get second place because of this after this showing. So um, anyways, I'll be signing out now. So all right, so peace.